wrestling saved my life and it's my escape. And at that time, I was like, hey, if I can come for 3 hours and, like, leave what I'm going through at the door, like hybrid's my happy place in my home. And even Marvel was like, go home. And I was like, no, I can't, because I'd rather be in a room full of love and everyone chasing what they love than being by myself with my thoughts. And my older brother was my hero, and he's everything I wanted to be in a man. And just the way he loved out loud and the way he carried himself, and he's my superhero. And every day, even though he's not here, he's my support system. And everyone at the Hybrid School of Wrestling is my support system, and all the fans and friends I made along the way, and just people like you giving me the opportunity to share my story. I feel safe, and as much as it sounds weird, because I hurt every day because of wrestling, but it also makes me feel safe. And the support system I've gained from just the scene in general, it's really helped me grow up, and it's really helped me kind of use the things that I've gone through in life, not as a crutch, but as a beacon of light to show other people, regardless of what you're going through and what you've lost and what you're missing. And
okay, there is the modern day backbreaker. Well, that's the name now, is it?
Yeah, modern day backbreaker.
So before we even delve into conversation, I wanted to share this before we even start our conversation. And I really want to see if this photo is going to be, just run it through this match. And I'm going to give context on this photo. This was taken at Mission Pro Mania back. Yeah, this is 2023. That's what it was.
Yeah, it's got to be. I knew 2023 because I was wearing tights.
No, it's between Zoe and
JP
Harlow, and yeah, you can see like the run in from Joey Hyder, and then you just jump in, like, run that match with us.
Yeah, so pretty much this is JP and Joey at the time, leading whatever they thought the men's revolution was through Mission Pro. And before this, they actually helped one of their other partners take the Mission Pro Cup away from me. I had that Mission Pro Cup for a year, and no one told me I could turn it in for a championship match. But I'll save that for a later day. But this is pretty much months built up of anticipation. Me and Diego, and we had this plan. We're like, hey, there's this match going on. If I hide underneath the ring, and if you watch back on title match, Diego walks out to the entrance and Joey's attention goes there. And I slide, and I was underneath the ring at least 20 minutes, like 30 minutes. And yeah, I slid out and slid in the ring. I hit Joey with the bat. I took off my mask, and man, I'll be honest, the reaction, I was not expecting that, because at the show before that, I was still kind of getting boos and people weren't really liking me. But I don't know, something in that moment changed, and that's probably the day the modern day backbreaker was born. I did not expect to get a reaction like that, but hey, the Mission Pro crowd at the time was happy to see a hometown boy. But yeah, it was a good moment, and shout out to Diego for doing a crossbody, because I wasn't going to do it.
Because it's wild how much, what was it like working with Thunder? And just like saying where you need to do and what you need to do your spots. Being in Mission, what was it like just seeing Thunder Rosa as like the other side of production, and you're the one wrestling in that match at Thriller?
It's a different beast, because when I first joined Hybrid, the first show I helped out with was BOW, and it was literally Thunder's last indie match. It was like Thunder and maybe like Gentleman. This is like 2019. And then, like,
wow.
that's literally, I met her as Thunder. So from meeting her as Thunder and eventually, going along through training and being able to, because not a lot of men get to say they had the opportunity to wrestle for Mission Pro, because at the time it was a woman, based promotion. And meeting Thunder the wrestler and Thunder the boss, is she still not met her, but
that's a good way of saying that.
yeah, she's intense, but that's just her. She's passionate, and she believed in Mission Pro Wrestling, and the success of Mission Pro was, for the time that they were going there, they were doing some amazing things. If you go back and watch Mission Pro shows, you'll probably see a lot of appearances before Casey Blackrose was Casey Blackrose, but there was times where I was security or doing a pull apart, probably even refereed there once. I don't remember, but being able to like kind of learn and pick Thunder's brain at the time when she was like here, because at that time, 2019, 2020, she was on the verge of AEW, which is becoming a thing, and she was really at the time she was NWA Women's Champion for so long, and being
Right.
able to pick her brain and just see her passion for wrestling, and even for her to give me the opportunity, like she didn't have to do that, she didn't have to be like, we need men, or let's get these guys, and just the partnership that Hybrid had with Mission Pro really helped elevate Casey Blackrose, and I had amazing matches with that promotion. I've wrestled JJ Garrett. He's I don't know if you've ever seen him wrestle, but man, he is good. I wrestled like Max Heights. I got to wrestle, a lot of hybrid guys that you see on the indie scene now, like Devin Carter is a guy, and it's pretty cool to have that kind of that platform so young and early into my career, learning how to work for TV because she wanted to have it get shot like a TV product, and it kind of really helped me now. And yeah, Thunder is, believe it or not, she has a huge helping hand in a lot of early part of my development.
Yeah, because it's interesting how, and we had this conversation on the United 210 press conference, and we're gonna do a deep dive because of that, because we really it was very short when we had this conversation. And growing up, and I'm sure every Texan or every Texan, every person of Mexican American heritage or just Mexican heritage in general, Eddie Guerrero has been such a huge monumental talent to be. And as a fan growing up, how much has Eddie left a mark in your life at that point as a young fan?
Eddie was he's my biggest inspiration, and I know you hear that a lot. At this point, it kind of feels cliche to say because that's
Yeah.
how many
In Texas, I don't know about America,
yeah,
but so.
but like that's how many lives that he impacted. Because especially that I train here in San Antonio, everybody's like Eddie, 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 and I'm like, no, I say it first. I'm just kidding, but like, man, just he's the reason why I fell in love with wrestling and every aspect of it. Just the way he wrestled in the ring, he was, to me, there was nobody as intense and passionate like Eddie. Just from the way he bumped to the way he threw a forearm to the way he whipped his hair when he was getting hit, and that's when I fell in love with the aggression. And I try to emulate a lot of things that he does. Because sometimes when you're wrestling and fans aren't really into it, or like sometimes you see people on their phone, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna chop you, because I have, if I chop you, everyone's gonna be like, oh, I got that from Eddie. Literally, as a kid growing up watching the 2004 Royal Rumble, when it was like Eddie, Hardcore, and Chris, and they were chopping one of the Tough Enough dudes, and I literally couldn't take my eyes off the TV because I was like that's legit. Like it's and if you've ever taken a chop, they're probably the worst things to take in wrestling.
Yeah.
And Eddie, growing up, he just really made me fall in love with wrestling and the entertainment aspect and the wrestling aspect, and just being passionate about what you love and giving it your all. And if it wasn't for Eddie, me and so many people you see wrestling today probably wouldn't be here right now.
What was, I think you mentioned it on the interview back in United, where you saw probably one of the last events that Eddie was on before he
But
passed.
yeah, this had to
What
be
was
like
that?
this
Yeah.
had to be one of his last like 5, 6 matches maybe, because this was literally
Yeah.
October 11th, 2005. This is literally a month before. And it was now it's the Frostbank Center, but at the time it was the SBC Center. And
Right.
they closed the show. It was Eddie and Batista against Randy Orton and Cowboy Bob Orton in a tag team match. And I would never forget just the way he made everybody leave that arena home happy. Um, and he left you wanting more. We wish he can. I always wished it wasn't three amigos. I wish it was like, keep going, go to 30. Like I could sit here and watch him wrestle all day long, but being able to experience that, getting to watch one of his last matches, and because I don't know, like wrestling, I feel like things happen for a reason. Like
Yeah.
I watched one of his last matches, and the way he left this earth, it really impacted me, and that was probably my first loss, like as a kid. Like I know it's
Yeah.
weird, but that's how
You
connected
took
I
it
felt.
harder. Like
I
it
know I
hits
took
the
it hard.
hardest when there's a loss.
I took it hard.
Yeah.
Like that's how connected I feel with Eddie, and just his presence and his aura. It made me feel like it's weird, but like a blanket. Like whenever I put him on and I watch him, like I don't worry about anything else. I'm so invested in every little thing he does, and that's that Latino heat. It's real.
It's kind of fascinating too, where and you've trained with hybrid. I've had so many guys on from the hybrid school of wrestling. When you first stepped in, and how much of Eddie's legacy kind of stuck with you as you started training over in hybrid.
His legacy, it's literally in that school. Like
Oh,
I mentioned this before. Like, and this is the thing we do. Like, if you ask everybody who trains, when we're leaving for the night, we say good night, Eddie, because his tights are there,
uh,
and we know that he's there with us. Literally, the day I joined the hybrid, I walked into that building, and the first thing I saw was Eddie's tights framed up on the wall. There's his tight. It
uh,
was like two signed action figures. Whenever I get to the school, I'll take a picture and I'll send it to you. But that's literally the first thing that I saw, and I said to myself, like, this is the place I need to be. And not only that, but
yeah.
just walking in and seeing these former WWE wrestlers be trainers there, Coach Funaki, and at the time it was Jazz and Rodney Mack, and that I don't know, things like that just don't happen. And I knew when I walked in that hybrid was the place for me to be and to start my career, but also because a lot of people they come in, they do good, they get the certificate, and they leave. Me, I'm hybrid. I'm so dedicated to hybrid that no matter what, like I always feel like I have to stay training and stay ready because you never know when an opportunity comes. And I'm blessed to be in there for almost 6 years now, and not even just being a student anymore. Like I literally started from the ground up. I started from at the time I was like 250 pounds, and I did not look anywhere near what a wrestler should look. And
I mean, we had the photo too, so
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, like in like 4 months, I dropped like 40 pounds, and I was consistent, and I was
Wow.
grinding, and just literally going from at the time where I felt like I was rock bottom to now being the leader and trainer of a wrestling ring there. And the fact that Coach Marvel and Don Juan and Funaki trust me to run the graduate ring, and I'm getting to get in there and help guys like Devin Carter, Zakai Living, like even Calientita and Gia Michelle, Key Vibes. Like, Coach literally gives me the keys and the tools to go in there and work on myself, but also help give back because yeah, wrestling's competitive and it's competition. Of course, we all want to be the best, but you also got to pull people up with you because there's spots for everybody. And it's pretty cool just how everyone trusts me and believes me. And, you know, if I if I can go back to day one, all the things that I've done, and I would not, if you were to tell me that, I would not be able to believe you. I was like, no way. Like just the things I've done in 4 years, I don't know, it's rare. I don't think it happens to most people, and that's why I believe that this is the path that I was meant to be on.
Because a lot of the hard work that came on, and we're gonna switch over to. I mean, being an extra is probably a big step in what you're doing as a wrestler, but the Wyatt Six came out at the same time, and being part as an extra in the Wyatt Six debut. And how much has we'll do Bray Wyatt first. How much has that been such a good inspiration, much like Eddie is giving his legacy to you. What was that like having Bray Wyatt be part of what you're doing in your career?
Bray Wyatt, honestly, he's the person who actually made me fall back in love with wrestling because,
Oh,
at the time of his rise, it had to be 2014, 15, around that time. And at the time, I was a senior in high school and I was still kind of like not afraid, but I guess I'd say afraid, but like I don't want people to know I still watch wrestling and let me like not watch wrestling anymore. But every time Bray Wyatt was on my screen, I couldn't like look away. And the way he talked, the way he moved, the way he just carried himself, and his to me, Bray Wyatt wasn't a character. Like Bray Wyatt was Bray Wyatt, and like that's what I loved, and that's the type of performers that I gravitate towards, where he's not being anyone but himself. Like that's him, and like
right.
I can rock with that. Like the things that he'd say, the things he believed in, like just seeing his passion, it made me kind of sit there and be like, it's okay to love this, and it's okay to tell everybody that this is what you want to do with your life. And just seeing his rise from when he debuted in the Inferno match with Kane to
Yeah.
2016, when he won the WWE Championship, and getting to wrestle John Cena and Undertaker, and Bray Wyatt. People would always say, well, he would call himself a tank with the Ferrari engine, because
Yeah.
he was on the little huskier side and things like that. And me, I've always felt like I can connect with him like that. And if someone who looks like that can main event shows and be a WWE champion and wrestle some of the greatest people of all time, like why can't I?
Because now the Wyatt's sick because Bray passed throughout that time. And being part of that, granted, you died. You died in, in this segment.
Apparently everybody thought it was Gunther, the way my head was like. Gunther was trending on X literally for 3 days because everybody thought I was him. I guess from the side view, I don't know.
It's like it looks like because he has the frame and you have that similar frame, so it's like I can see that. But like at the time, because when I was watching, I'm like, hey, that is Casey. Holy crap! Okay, cool. That's how I meet so many of you guys, either as an extra or doing security, but to be part of that, and much like I'm talking about Eddie's legacy, Bray Wyatt's legacy being part of where he left off and seeing that segment being aired on TV. What was that like being part of it?
That I'm actually like I'm wearing a long sleeve, but I'm like getting chills and goosebumps just thinking about it
Uh,
because
okay.
and it took a lot for me to process that moment because like I said, Bray Wyatt was the person who really made me feel like it was okay to love this and believe in myself.
Okay.
And the way I want to be remembered is kind of like the way Bray is. Like I said earlier, Bray is one of those people who, yeah, he wanted to be the best he could be, but he pulled so many people up with him. And just, everybody in the White Six, you have Nikki, Eric, you have Dexter and Joe, and just seeing how he impacted their lives, like that's a legacy I'd love to leave behind because Bray, no matter where you saw him, he wasn't alone. He had Luke or Brody, he had Eric, he had Braun, and that's another case of pulling your hand down and bringing up people with you because wrestling's for everybody. And to being able to be a part of such a historic moment, and I believe that was in Corpus Christi. It was like June 25th. I remember
Yeah.
because it was me and Jesse Funaki. If you look closely, Jesse Funaki is a part of the segment as well. And
I gotta find that now.
yeah, he's probably wearing like a blue dress shirt and khakis, the only person there. But man, just like going through a day as extra, it's a whirlwind. Like
Yeah.
right now, I've probably done extra work like 8 times, 9 times, and every time it's always been a blessing and being able to have a match on there and things like that. But this one was this one was different because I just remember sitting there and Me and Jesse were like, "You think we're gonna do anything, or what do you think?" And I was like, "I don't know." And
Lay flat on the floor.
me being me, I was like, "I don't know, dude. Like the Wyatt thing is supposed to end today. Like the date's supposed to end today. Like I don't
Yeah.
know." Like I just kept saying, "Dude, like just be ready, just be ready." And I remember walking, like I was probably going to catering, and I looked to the right, and I saw Eric, and I was like, "No way!" Like that's the like. And at the time, they were all being hidden, and I was like, "Dude, no way." And then like 10 minutes later, they called the extras, and they were like, "Okay, so Wyatt 6 is gonna re-debut tonight. Um, we'll do this. Like they were giving us the rundown, and then it was
Yeah.
me. I want to say Father O'Day and two others, and Triple H was like Triple H walked through like they already showed us what we were doing, so it was like they had like we saw the door, we saw the leaves, and they were like, all right, you're gonna be laying here. Um, this person's gonna be
Wow.
here. When they pointed at this person, it was Eric. I didn't realize Eric was like facing the wall, but Eric Rowan turned around and he like
Oh,
shook my hand.
wow.
And then Triple H walks in. He has the headset. And he was like, "All right, but like, everyone knows what we're doing." We're like, "Yeah." And he was like, "All right, this is gonna be a historic moment, and thank you guys for being a part of history." And like walked off, and I was like,
Wow.
I like looked at Father O'Day, and I was like, "Dude," like we gave a little handshake at I was like, "Dude, like this is happening," and literally like, and it would be like Casey flat fashion to literally, as that segment starts, the very first extra you see, it's me, and they're like, and
Whoa.
I knew because I'm like at the time you see Rowan, like you don't see him, you see his back and
Yeah.
he has a double sided mask. It pans to the bodies, and then it pans back to when he's looking, and I knew the camera was on me because I've never heard anything so loud in my life. When they panned to the
Mm.
extras and I was on top, the crowd just came unglued, and I tried so hard to lay there with chills and butterflies, and I was like, dude, this is exactly why I joined wrestling, for moments like this, and
Yeah.
just being able to be a part of something that Bray Wyatt created. It's like it just doesn't make sense, but it makes all the sense in the world that
Yeah.
like I'm in this moment and I'm living this life, and that's a moment that if you go back and look at the views, that's like one of the top viewed videos on WWE, the good
Yeah.
while, and that's a moment that will live with me for the rest of my life.
It's nice to see how much of like the work that Bray has done. And he's done a lot of character changes throughout the years, but for a posthumous work like that with the Wyatt Sick, that must have been a roller coaster. But by the end of it, and you got home, how did it process? I think you mentioned that. Did it process very quickly, or it it just it's unreal driving back home? Like, I can't believe I'm part of this.
It's an unreal feeling because even after the segment was over, Eric Rowan gave me a hug and he was crying and he was like, "Thank you so
Oh,
much." And then Triple H was like, "Good job," and he shook my hand, and like, first of all, like I just shook Triple H's hand. Like what? Like
that's what I was gonna say.
I shook I shook the same hands I used to do the crotch chops that I would want growing up. Like the same hand that held a sledgehammer and hit Shawn Michaels in the back with it. I'm like, this just doesn't happen to anybody. But like, I literally got to the back to where the extra locker room was, and I picked up my phone. And as I picked up my phone, it was vibrating. I literally opened it, and it was like Instagram blowing up, Facebook, Twitter, like tagging me, and
Yeah.
just seeing just like the feedback and the love from my peers and fans. And it's like this is exactly why I trained so hard for. But that moment probably didn't really hit me till like I got home and I looked at the video on YouTube and I looked at how it was trending worldwide, and I was like, I'm part of history. And
Yeah.
like, no matter what I do in wrestling, whether I make it to where I want to make it and get signed and do everything or I don't, like, I can always say, like, I was a part of history. And even now, sometimes the things I've done or it doesn't, it hits me, but it doesn't hit me because it's like, hey, this is all a part of my story to when I do make it. Like, and I'm, one day wrestling at WrestleMania, and they're gonna do a video package on me in a match with Keith Lee for like Keith Lee was like my 13th match on main event. Me in a match with Keith Lee, or
Ah,
me doing a pull apart with Brock and Bobby Lashley, and just a month ago, me getting a clothesline by Jacob Fatu. Like, in my head, I'm working so hard to make all those things that I've done mean something down the line, and where I can literally be in a WrestleMania ring and I can look at that Titantron and have a video package playing of me, and that would probably be
yeah.
the moment where I'm like this is it. Like, this is everything that I've worked so hard for.
Because cut back, move up probably recently, and you went from one big event to another big event, which is Saturday night's main event. What's the difference? Because you've experienced working on set during production in Raw, which is a whole different animal. What are some differences that you've had working in Saturday night's main event and meeting the same people that you've met when you were at Raw with the White Six debut?
This one was a little different because Saturday Night's Main Event, they're on NBC, and NBC is more strict than USA. Like, it's network TV.
Oh,
You gotta be like on your cues. Like, if you go a second, 2 seconds over, you're getting like WWE's getting charged some money. So literally everybody was like, half the roster was there because it's like I would say like a bigger house show, bigger live event. Because Saturday
yeah,
Night's Main Event has that pay per view feel, but it's a completely different ball game. Like, when I go to Raw, like, yeah, you see the active superstars, but when I was at Saturday Night's Main Event,
yeah.
like, I was literally sitting next to Dory Funk Jr. It,
Oh,
like, that is insane. Like, I was there with Dory Funk or Tully Blanchard, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, like, legends. Like, that just doesn't happen. And like, I've done some work with Tully, so like Tully remembers me, but like, I don't know. Saturday Night's Main Event was just a different beast. Like, everyone's more on their game. Like,
yeah.
um, just like, first of all, like, I got to experience Shawn Michaels throw a super kick. Like, that doesn't happen all the time, and him doing it there at the show that I'm a part of, and literally after that moment, so it was like the segment of like the contract signing for the ladder match. So Shawn did his kick, and the next segment was Jacob and Braun. So I was there by Gorilla getting ready, and literally like Shawn does the kick, segment ends, he walks to the back, and they're clearing for Jacob to do his big entrance when he does his promo, and
Yeah.
Shawn's next to me. It's like me and then Shawn, and he's just fixing his hat, putting his hat on, like, like,
Oh my
like just,
God.
just super kick Kevin Owens, but now it's time to go back to work, and I'm like, he still has it. Like, you don't just see that on a Raw. Like, I've been blessed with so many opportunities to be around so many great people that I grew up watching, and every day it's just like, what else can happen? Like, the
Yeah.
story that I'm writing every day, it's not a, it's not a normal one. It doesn't happen to everybody, but I am just blessed every day that I get to have these amazing interactions and opportunities, and literally everyone I grew up watching, except the one person I've yet to like meet or see is probably John Cena, and that's
He's
gonna
there.
happen.
We just can't see him.
It's gonna happen. Yeah. He's probably somewhere here too, or actually, he's probably in Canada getting ready for tomorrow night. But yeah, it's Saturday Night's Main Event was just a different beast, and literally, I think the one key moment for me, and it's a weird one. Well, not weird, but it's a random one. Was they're getting ready, where I was sitting ringside watching how things are done, and Lillian Garcia sang the Star Spangled Banner, and that like
Dude.
that was beautiful.
Ugh.
Like, she's a legend, and I'm so glad she's back because she's my
Yeah.
childhood. And just being able to, like, she commanded everybody. Literally, people were calling her stuff. She started singing, and everybody stopped. and let her. And
Oh, that's cool.
like
Yeah.
afterwards, she got a standing ovation from everybody, and it was like, man, like even just that moment is insane because a dream of mine was always to get announced by Lillian Garcia, and now that she's back, and now that I'm on this path right now, like it's a dream that can be, obtained.
And we'll delve into your career. And you have how many belts in your waist?
Right now, I'm holding 4.
4. Okay. What was the very first one that you got
The
after
first
all
one
the
I
hard work that you're
probably
doing?
won. I think out of the 4 I had now, because I swapped. I was United Heritage Championship, and then it went to the
Yeah.
hybrid for the United one. But the first one I had was probably the hybrid school of wrestling one, and
Okay.
that one probably means a lot to me just because of the fact that I told you earlier that I literally, when I started hybrid, like I was just a normal person, and now being crowned the first ever hybrid champion and knowing that all the work I put in over the last 5 years and that my trainers believe in me when there's
Right.
like we train some of the best wrestlers you see right now. And every day it's like I gotta compete, and I gotta stay on my grind, and
Yeah.
just knowing that I have the like that they believe in me, and it means a lot. And not just my trainers, but the people I train with and wrestle with. And nobody told me. Literally, I found out in the ring that I was winning the match. Nobody knew. Like the
Wow.
referee came like, "Hey, 2 minutes left. By the way, Casey's winning." And I'm like, "Oh like, oh god." And then like I won. Coach Funaki walks into the ring, gives me the title. Well, Marvel gives me the title, and then Funaki gets in, and I literally turn around, and everybody came from the back, and they're clapping. And then I'm like, man, like
Wow.
again, a moment that just doesn't happen to anybody because I've put in so much time and so much effort. Just I don't want to say building hybrid, but taking it from the generation when I started to where it's at now. And
Yeah, you're building that. You're building
yeah,
what's where you started to where
yeah,
you left off,
and it means
basically.
so much to me because man, I'm there every single like I'm there every day, literally like 5 days a week, 5 hours a day, just grinding, training, helping everybody put up their characters, their move sets, matches, and that's probably that's the first one I have. But that one's probably one of the most sentimental. And then after that, it was the RCW Future Legends Championship, which
Hmm.
man, Devin Carter, like I don't know, he's probably my wrestling soulmate. Like I've had some
Yeah.
of my best and favorite matches with Devin Carter, and we're just two. You know, we're both like this, but in the best way possible. Like we don't bump heads. We both
Yeah.
want to be the best, and man, it shines through whenever we're stepping across from each other. And the match that me and him had at that RCW show, I probably Summer of Slams maybe. That man, that match means a lot to me because Devin's. Don't tell him this because his head's already big, but he's probably one of my favorite people. And then
I had him on, so it's okay.
yeah, and then after that, the United Championship, which man, even that one's special because when season 2, what are we in? We're going to season 3 tomorrow, right?
Yeah. Well, we'll talk after the recording.
Yeah, but last year, season 2, I wasn't even a part of the first show. Like, and I tell this to Stash and Rob all the time, and they're like, "Stop lying. Yes, you were." And I'm like, "No, like, y'all didn't book me for that show." And like, literally from because I've always been a part of United. Season 1, I was tag teaming with Brandon Vice, and we're wrestling like Culture Shock and Living in Fashion. And the
Yeah.
next season came, I was still trying to figure out what to do. But man, the season that we had last year, from not being on the card, the first show of the season, to main eventing the last show of that season and winning the United Championship. And again, it's just the hard work is just paying off because not once did I complain. I'm not a person that's like, Stash, what the hell? You didn't book me. Like, no, I'm like, hey, you got to earn your spot and you got to earn. And I go there, I do the work, I try my best, and I just let the passion and my love for wrestling just shine through. And Stash and Rob see that, and you know, I was born and raised in the South Side of San Antonio, so the street that we have the if you've been to the yard, and I know you have, but for people who are listening, like you may be like, "What, backyard wrestling?" No, it's not backyard
No,
wrestling.
it's
It is
beyond that.
it.
Seriously.
I think we run like TV style wrestling. It's like a TV style in the back, and it just happens to be in the back of a house. But
Yeah.
like we had Gabe Sapolsky, a WWE scout there. Like he wouldn't just show up to a backyard wrestling show if it wasn't legit.
Yeah.
But like just my aunt growing up, and I lived with my aunt for a little bit. We lived on that street. Like
Mm.
it's crazy. Again, it's one of those like it's weird, but it's meant to be. Like you mean to tell me that this street that I grew up on and I'm wrestling at now, and I was the first Heritage champion, and I was number one in the Rumble, and I lasted over an hour, and I won, and then 2 months later I won the title. Like it feels like this. If I was writing a book or like a movie about what I would want my life to be, that's what it would be. But it's literally the life that I'm living, and it's insane. And I'm blessed and grateful every single day that I keep getting these opportunities, but I just, that I'm healthy and I get to go out there and I get to represent San Antonio and the South Side. And even when I'm not in San Antonio, if I'm in Austin for New Texas or Inspire or Baracho, like I'm representing Hybrid. I'm letting everybody know, like, hey, this is where the best are, because I truly believe. I know a lot of people like to say that they're the best and things like that, but I don't just say it. I truly believe it because I'm not meant to be here. I'm meant to be here, but I wasn't meant to be here. Like when I first started
Yeah.
to where I'm at now, like that's how much love and passion I have for wrestling, that I built myself from the ground up. I built the modern day backbreaker, and when I'm in the ring, and I don't tell people to count my backbreakers, they naturally count my backbreakers, and they cheer for me. And a
That's
lot of
right.
people just, they literally, they're the reason why I show up every day, because wrestling saved my life before, and wrestling saving my life now. And I'm happy that my peers see the passion and the love I have, and they're willing to give me that platform to be the best version of me, because what you see in the ring is kind of like what you see now. I don't try to be anything that I'm
Right.
not. I'm turned up a little bit. I'm more intense. I'm more precise. I'm more aggressive. But Casey Blackrose is who I am all the time.
Because I was thinking about that too, because backbreakers are a rarity for wrestling. And how on earth did you use that in so frequent? Did it take time for you to really get to hone down that the backbreaker is gonna be my thing when I'm doing stuff in the ring?
Yeah, so I love, like, growing up. It took over, like, at first I didn't know what independent wrestling was, because I was like a kid and I was like wrestling. But I really got introduced to independent wrestling when I was like 9 or 10, and RCW.
Okay.
Like I went to RCW as a kid. Like I saw Marvel, Don Juan, and Keith Lee, and like things like that. So that was my first introduction to indie wrestling, and then I started watching TNA and Ring of Honor, and
Yeah.
you know, something about the way Roderick Strong just, I don't know, like this, his style of wrestling really stuck with me. And Roderick Strong,
Yeah.
the Messiah, the backbreaker. But I'll tell you right now, he does not do the backbreakers that I do. I've tried so hard to separate myself
Of
from him
course.
and to be innovative. Like, I feel like the ones that I do, you don't really see. I'm not saying that I created them. There's a few that I have yet to pull out yet, because I'm waiting for the right time. But
Yeah.
I'm trying to like pay homage, but also build my own.
Yeah.
And man, Roger Strong, his Ring of Honor stuff and his indie stuff, and there's a lot of stuff that I take, but just, I don't know, something about feeling someone's spine on your kneecap or on your shoulder blade, or it's like, hey, in the long run, I'm trying to help you. You know, we all have back problems. We all have back pain. So I'm just trying to help
It's
you.
true.
Like, you know, broken back, it must be Casey Blackrose, you know? Like, I'm a certified chiropractor, but I don't know, something about, and it's not just the backbreakers. Like, I feel like I can go in there and I can have a legit match and be intense and precise and not even use a backbreaker. But, you know, like now you can't watch a Casey Blackrose match without a backbreaker because you know, that's the style. Like, everyone knows me. You think of a backbreaker, like, oh, Casey. Or like, and that's what I love. Like, literally, the time it probably
Keep the
really
crowd
hit me,
guessing.
the time it probably really hit me is I wrestled Robert Martyr at a United show. And it was still when I was on my rise, you know, and I was in the ring and I was like, you know, I made my entrance and we're getting ready and the crowd just like, break his back, break his, and I'm like, whoa, like, literally, like, I turned and I saw people like keeping
They
their
know
hands up, like,
you at that point. They
yeah,
know
and I'm
you.
like, that's organic. Like, I don't gotta be in the ring and be like, all right, clap because I'm clapping. No, like, people are literally like just organic. Like, they want to see me break his back, and that's how I know that I'm doing the right thing because people are gravitating towards it. People tell me all the time,
Yeah.
dude, I love the way that back break came out, or I want to see you break this person's back, or things like that. And I'm like, it was just even counting, like, that. I don't know how or when that became a thing, but
Yeah.
literally, I wrestled Chase Owens at the Yard. We went like 32 minutes, and the crowd was up to 9 backbreakers. They're like 9, and I'm like, I don't like
They know.
stuff. You know, it's so hard to stay in wrestling mode, but also be like,
Yeah.
there's no way this is happening right now. Like, it, I'm just very fortunate and blessed to have a strong connection with the audience, and they gravitate towards the things I do. Even in Austin, man, like,
Yeah.
you know, when you're going to a new city, new town, like, you're nervous, you're afraid, you don't like, man, are these people gonna know me? Like, are they gonna know what I do? Like, and then when I made my Inspire debut and I hit a backbreaker and I heard someone go, "Oh," and I was like, okay, they like this. The next time I came back, somebody was like, "Are you gonna break his back?" And I'm like, "All right, like here we go. Like, this is exactly what I needed because now they know, and I'm happy that I'm being able to work in the Austin scene more because Austin wrestling fans,
Yeah.
they're passionate. You know, they love independent
Yeah.
wrestling, and if you can win over the Austin crowd, you can win over any crowd. And because it's so easy to be like, I'm from the South Side of San Antonio, and United 2-0 is in the South Side. You know, organically, you're gonna want to cheer that. But when you go to a new city or even a new state, like just last week, I got the opportunity to wrestle in Mississippi, and
Yeah.
just the fans reacting to it. And I got to the back, and some of the boys who've never seen me are like, dude, that was legit. Like, and I'm like, hey, you know, now they want to bring me in regularly, and it's like, I just need that one opportunity to show people, like, one, like, ah, you know, I'm gonna toot my own horn, but I strongly believe that Casey Blackrose is one of the very best wrestlers on not just the Texas independent scene, but wrestling in general. And it's only a matter of time before the whole world knows what I believe in my heart.
Okay. And with the year kind of like, I mean, it's still underway. It's February by the time this is recording. Um, what are you looking forward to? And I know that you mentioned your aspirations within WWE. That would be everyone's goal, honestly, is to be
If you're not in here to main
in
event
WWE.
WrestleMania, what? Come on. Like,
Okay.
I mean, not necessarily because I know people who want to main event the Tokyo Dome or they want to main event in
Yeah.
Sima. But if you're not here to like be on the grandest stages of the promotion you're on, like, come on, like,
Yeah.
who would ever turn down a
What
spot at
are
WrestleMania?
what would be a dream match?
Um, you say what would be a dream
Dream match. Like
dream match?
what match?
Ugh.
And I'll do it this way. No budget. The booker is at the door, and the match is there. And if you can face someone, like let's say I'm gonna face so and so on this venue, with these rules, who would be that?
Biss,
What would be that dream match for you?
Biss, Kiefer, Bradley, Coach Marvel, Brandon Oliver, if you're listening to this, look, imagine Casey Blackrose versus Roderick Strong. Like, backbreaker for backbreaker. Like,
Oh
I
my
feel like
god!
at a even you know with a match like that, even in Austin or even in San Antonio, like that would be an amazing one. Just the person
That
who
would send
I
shockwaves.
really think it would, and it I know he's doing stuff with AEW now, but he's also taking independent bookings. And
Yeah,
the moment he left WWE, I told myself like this is gonna happen. And
yeah.
he calls himself the Messiah, the backbreaker, and now I call myself the modern day backbreaker. And I know he knows. I tag him. I like his stuff. I comment on his stuff because I know one day that I'm gonna get this match. But right now it would just for the styles alone, it would be me and Roderick. But if I were to throw another one out there, independent wise, like someone I did think is attainable, for some reason I've always wanted to wrestle Gino Medina. I
Ah,
think when I was coming up, at the time I was like, man, he has it all. He has the tools. He's a top guy, and I want to be able to test myself with the top guys, and you know, not just in Texas, but in the independent scene. Because when I look at the top guys, I look at people like Gino or Mysterious Q. You got Stephen Wolf. You got Brick Savage, and like if I can show the world that, and I know that I can go toe to toe and hang with these guys, they're gonna look at me and be like, man, Casey's everything he says he is.
yeah. This was fun. This was fun. Uh, this is the first time where I'm like, oh, I'm in check. This is like I'm letting the machine do the work tonight. But I'm gonna end this conversation with this, and thank you for having you on this episode. And we never really got to do a deep dive just because it's like 5 minutes. See you later. Just leave out there. But
Sorry,
to
brother, I gotta go
have
break down the ring.
exactly, and especially in having, and this is what happens whenever I have guests on this podcast is like I appreciate you guys even more and having your background and knowing that Eddie Guerrero was basically the fuel that keeps you going, and how Bray Wyatt is the one that kept that made you go back into wrestling. Like, and I see your matches down the line. Like, I understand like how you guys are doing so hard to work to get to chase your dreams down the line. So I really appreciate having this conversation with you.
Of course, thank you. It means a lot to have this platform to share my story, and I personally feel one day my story is gonna help a lot of people when more about me comes out because I wear my heart on my sleeve, and like I said, Casey Blackrose, the person you see in the ring and the person you're talking to now, it's the only difference is I'm turned up to 10. Right now I'm like a 3. I'm like
Yeah.
14.
Three, okay.
Yeah,
So
I still
I'll
gotta
end our
get ready for.
conversation. Yeah, we'll go to 7 minutes time this in the but I digress. But I'll end our conversation with this. And if you were in the same room as an adolescent version of you and you are there face to face with him, what would you like to talk to him about?
I'd probably tell him, regardless of what you're going through now, like it's gonna be okay, because I've gone through a lot in my childhood, and I don't shy away from anything. But when I was 9, a year after Eddie, I lost my father, and
Yeah.
even a year into my wrestling career, I lost my brother. And those are the two people who keep me going every day, and they push me to live this dream. But I'd probably just tell myself like, hey, everything you're going through now, it's gonna be worth it, and and the only thing I'd probably do different was just tell him, hey, don't be afraid to love this thing out loud, because you know, you when you're older, this is gonna be your life. Because 9-year-old Casey would not believe that. Um, I didn't even bring this up, but I got to be backstage at the Hall of Fame last year in Philadelphia. Like, like 9-year-old Casey would not believe that. Like, so I would probably just tell him, hey, no matter what, everything you wish and you dream, it's gonna come true. Just, hang in there, and everything that you're going through now, it's gonna make sense when the time's right.
Yeah, and I was gonna ask too, like with people that you've lost recently, how much of a support system that you've had as you got through life, leading into what you're doing things in the wrestling ring.
And the man, it's tough. Because believe it or not, but the day I lost my brother, I still showed up to training at the Hyper School of Wrestling. Wrestling saved my life, and it's my escape. And at that time, I was like, hey, if I can come for 3 hours and like leave what I'm going through at the door, like Hyper's my happy place in my home. And even Marvel was
Yeah,
like, go home, and I was like, no, I can't, because I'd rather be in a room full of love and everyone chasing what they love than being by myself with my thoughts. And because, man, it's tough. And my older brother was my hero, and he's
mm,
he's everything I wanted to be in a man. And just the way he loved out loud, and the way he carried himself, and he's my superhero. And every day, even though he's not here, he's my support system. And everyone at the Hybrid School of
yeah,
Wrestling is my support system, and all the fans and friends I made along the way. And just like people like you giving me the opportunity to share my story, and enjoying what I do. Because part of you, if you didn't like the way I wrestled, I wouldn't be on this show right now. But like, like
I mean,
rest
I did see you 3 years ago, but it was a different
yeah,
circumstance.
but wrestling truly saved my life. And I feel safe, and as much as it sounds weird, because I hurt every day because of wrestling, but it also makes me feel
Yeah,
safe. And the support system I've gained from just the scene in general, it's really helped me grow up, and it's really helped me um kind of use the things that I've gone through in life, not as a crutch, but as a beacon of light to show other people, regardless of what you're going through and what you've lost and what you're missing. And you know, time time goes on, and you're no matter what, it's always gonna stay in your heart. But you continue to work at your dreams, and if you work with at the things you love, anything is possible. And the support system I have is just amazing, and I appreciate everybody.
awesome. So I have nothing left to give. You have the floor, and where can we find you?
Well, thank you for the opportunity for giving me this. I don't like, I do like to talk, but sometimes it's tough to talk about myself. But like there's a lot more that I mean, hey, maybe for a later date we can do more in-depth stuff. But I'm not gonna stop doing what I'm doing. I am meant to be a professional wrestler. I am meant to show the world that Casey Blackrose is one of the very best wrestlers. And you'll see me booking my booking day by day. Tomorrow night I got United, and Sunday I'm in Austin for Inspire. And who knows, there's a new Texas coming, well, not coming, but they're starting in Austin. And I guarantee you the world is slowly going to start finding out what I've been telling myself and telling everybody for the longest time. And Casey Blackrose legit. Casey Blackrose is going to change the world, and Casey Blackrose will be signed and will wrestle on WrestleMania, and he will be a WWE champion. And it's all about manifestation. If I can dream it,
There you
then I can
go.
achieve it.
Awesome. So for those who are watching and listening on this episode, whether it's on YouTube or Spotify or iHeartRadio, thank you so much for tuning in, and we are on to the next one. Bye.